subscribe to 13 Mitigator Ford Fusion. I'd like to thank you for listening to Let's Talk Racing.tv.
Do you need?
Well, we'd like to welcome everybody to Let's Talk Racing. Everybody here is already getting cranked up, getting ready for the race tonight at Eldora.
Yeah.
The Scott Allen fan club members are having their meeting now.
A little too small.
Okay. Alright, this is really getting good here.
What now?
Look at that.
There you go.
We just got one hater. That's okay. But we have a 115 fans.
And I like your shirt. It's really that. And I'm glad you gave me an idea. When I wash my car, when I pull it in the wash machine, I'm gonna put that on there too.
Yeah. Hey Jack, airmail.
Scott, listen, we still got 115 other things.
Hey Scott, sign that shirt while you got it.
Sign the shirt.
You ain't got no autographs on it already, do you?
No, we're not going to either.
Alright, time's wasted. Let's go.
Alright, you're on.
What's going on in the news today?
Well, Sergio Pena won
How about
the
my boy
Caden race.
Sergio, yeah?
Yeah.
I was really
Sergio.
happy for him. I mean,
Yeah.
he's such a good kid. He's very down to earth, and he has that international because he's. Where's he from? I forget where he's from.
Winchester.
Winchester.
Yeah, I know that, but he's originally from somewhere else, right?
Yeah,
No.
Winchester.
Virginia boy.
I knew his father, but was he born in Virginia?
Oh, well, yeah, I'm sure he was. His
I
father
thought he
may
was
be-
just raised in Virginia.
Al just likes to talk about Radford, okay?
Yeah. But still, I mean, he's a good kid. He's very educated.
Yes.
And I was really happy. It was kind of a surprise, though. I mean, I didn't, because the whole Rev team hasn't run that well overall.
All year. Yeah. But I mean, in Columbus being a tough track, a little short track like it is. But yeah, he did real good. It was a good race.
And he actually beat Ben Rhodes. That's
Well, Ben Rhodes
Well,
finished where,
something
fourth?
Well, no,
He was
he
back
was-
there.
third or
Yeah,
fourth.
fourth, I
I thought
think.
he fell back at the end. Something happened to him.
No, he was third or fourth at the end of the race.
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing I looked at. What happened to him?
Right, you figure he had to blow up.
Something
Well, he's
happened.
dominated this year with Mark Furler's crew chief. That's good
I think
chemistry
they
there,
can just
man.
put his name on the trophy because he's got such a huge lead.
Whatever happened to CJ Facey?
I think,
Money dried up.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
Because I know McFarland was
just-
helping him at one time.
And they had Little Caesars as
Yeah,
a
that pizza place on
sponsorship.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he just decided to go back home up north.
I mean, he's still racing some, but I mean,
Yeah, nothing real major. I think he's even got a dirt car, I think somebody said. So,
All right, Al.
Who's the crew chief on Ben Rhodes' car?
Mark McFarland. I know you know that name.
Oh, yeah,
from Northern.
yeah. Okay.
He
Wait,
raced at
Old
Langley a
Dominion
few times.
Speedway.
Yeah, I remember him.
Good guy.
Yeah.
Real good guy.
Old Dominion
He
Speedway.
was the first one Junior fired off his
Team
team.
That's right.
as a driver.
Good.
Who replaced him?
Shane Huffman.
Huffman. Now where's Shane Huffman?
He is the
Crew
he's the
chief.
chief on the team car, ain't
He's with Turner too, isn't he?
yeah. He's with Turner.
So,
I can't remember. Is he on a car or a truck? He's on a truck.
no, I think he's on the car.
Is
He's
he
with
car?
K&N.
Yeah.
He's with Turner. I mean, he may be helping out with the truck too, but he's one of the crew chiefs. Good guy. All of them, you know.
Are we going to do a segment of where are they now?
I know.
Oh, where's Marty Lindley now?
He is with in the K&N series.
Yeah, he was the crew chief on.
He was with
Last
He was with Turner. He was with Turner last year
Yeah.
too.
He was the championship crew chief last year. Where's he now?
I want to say he's with Turner.
He's still
I
with
know
Turner.
he is,
Yeah.
but which driver though?
Oh my goodness, there's what, 5 of them? You got Scott Hackett,
But
Who
he's not
was
with Hack.
last year's champion?
Dylan.
Okay, he was Dylan's guy last year.
Yeah.
I wonder where he is this year.
Unless did he move up with Dylan?
No, because he was out at Langley when we were out there. But now where was it that Bush Lindley used to dominate at? Greenville.
Greenville.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
That was a name that
Dominated
was
Langley.
big time.
He
Yeah.
killed him at Langley.
Number 16.
Yeah. I talked to his father. I did a big story on Autoweek about Butch Lindley for maybe 2 months ago. You know, Butch was in a coma for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there was never an opportunity to pull the plug because he was breathing on his own. They were not keeping him alive for 5 years.
Right.
He was basically in sleep mode.
Yeah.
And I asked his wife, I asked Joan, I drove down to Greenville and interviewed her, and she said we never had to think about should we pull the plug because there's no plug to pull.
Yeah.
And she said one day I went in, I'd been there the previous day, the next morning they called me at 5 o'clock saying, you better come down here, your husband's not doing well. And she's thinking, well, hell, he ain't been doing well for 5 years, what's the big deal? When she got there, he was dead. Just
Wow.
no reason, just dead.
But you know what? I think he was the Richard Petty of short tracks because that was one guy
He
that
was
was
one
nice
awesome
to
race car
everybody.
That was great.
You
He was
know,
awesome.
the Sonny Hutchins, the Bill Dennises, the all them
Tommy
guys.
Ellis.
Tommy Ellis, yeah.
Yeah.
Old Tommy.
Tom is, I think he's running like second in the prison system now. So.
Yeah, he's out.
Is he out there?
Yeah.
Is his wife taking her turn in there?
No, she went in first.
Did she go in
Yeah,
first?
she went in first.
So
And the reason I did a story
Terrible
about
timing.
coincidentally, 20 years after the fact, was that at the time, Michael Schumacher was in that same
yeah,
coma type situation, and they kept saying, "Oh, Michael's going to come out of it. He's going to come out of it." Well, he got hurt. He got hurt on New Year's Eve, I think. So January, February, March, April, May, June, half of July.
7 months. That's
I wouldn't think so.
that's a long
It's a
time.
tough deal.
Yeah, those were the days, man, when them guys used to come in town and Bush
Yeah.
Limit was just awesome. You could put him in anything, and he was just good.
It's funny how some of the generations today don't really know some of those guys. I was standing in the tech garage this weekend, and
That's
one of
because he finished in the top 10. He got to go to tech there.
but
He's never been there before.
but
He went to the
there's
bathrooms first.
they have some pictures of the old guys up there, and they had old Bubba Adams up there, and one of the kids were there. I'm like, you know who that guy is? He's like, no, who is it? I'm like,
That was
"What's
a big name, boy.
Yeah, I mean, old Bubba. I mean, Bubba was like the Dale Earnhardt and Langley in his time there.
Right.
You know?
No.
I mean, he was rough. Well, I mean,
Elton
listen,
Sawyer was the
Oh, yeah,
king
no,
at
he-
Langley.
Yeah.
well, yeah,
Elton-
Bubba.
Elton-
Well,
let
it
me
was
tell
at
you
the
what.
same time, though,
There
wasn't
was,
it?
yeah, right.
Yeah.
There was a time there, and I remember it well, when Elton Sawyer and Bubba Adams and Charlie Doyle and Wayne Hanbury
Charlie Doyle.
and Charlie
They
Doyle.
ran good.
Oh, absolutely, won championships. Elton and
Wayne
Charlie
Punch
and
Card.
Wayne and Phil
Remember?
Warren, they had about 10 drivers at Langley
Could win.
for about an 8 or 9 year stretch, and any of them could win on any night.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about
Great
Bubba,
racing.
because Bubba would put the bumper to you in a second.
Oh, of
Oh,
course
yeah.
he would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Elton wasn't quite that way.
He never
I
hit-
won't-
he
I
didn't
didn't
have to
quite
be.
come there. Well, yeah, he was just fast.
Elton
Smooth
just
driver.
passed people.
Yeah.
But you give Elton the credit that's due him. He was a full-time racer right out of high school. He and Jamie Jones worked on that race car every day
Oh, Jamie.
from Saturday to Saturday, and they did nothing else.
Yeah.
I mean, Bubba Adams had a job, Charlie Doyle had a job, Wayne Hanbury was a fireman, Phil Warren obviously had a job. Elton was full-time racing, and that's why he could go to Southside or Langley or South
Did travel.
Boston, anywhere, and beat people.
Well, you know, there was an article wrote probably about 10 years ago about that, and they said, well, you know, Bubba Adams, I mean, he didn't get to work on his car day in and day
Yeah.
out, didn't get to
Right.
travel, and I think, you know, he had a kid and everything else, you know, and that kind of held him back a little bit, you know, having a family and being able to work, having to work and everything else, and Elton came right on out, and
That's
that
all
was
he
it.
was
That's
as a racer.
eat, drink, and,
Well, they had the resources to do it too.
right.
Well, and I think it's a big circle. He had the resources to do it because they worked at it and were good enough to attract resources.
Right.
Ashton Lewis Chevrolet would not have sponsored him if he'd been running the back of the pack.
Right.
So as soon as Elton got where he was running up front and winning, he got sponsors, which brought money, which let him
Be able to
keep
do
running
that.
up front. So it's just a big, it's a
Yeah.
big circle.
But he was a good representative. He was,
Oh,
very, he was clean
great.
cut,
Very.
you know,
Great.
very well spoken.
I haven't seen him in a couple of years.
You may not remember this, but does anybody remember who the first driver with a Gwaltney sponsorship was in late model sportsman?
Was it his dad?
Did what him?
Was it Elton's dad?
No,
El-
no.
Waltney?
The first guy to drive a car sponsored by Smithfield / Gwaltney over there.
That
Was that
Langley.
Langley Speedway?
No.
No?
Nationally. late model sportsman, Clifford Allison.
Really?
Clifford Allison somehow got a deal to run a limited number of national sportsman touring events with Gwaltney and Smithfield backing,
Wow, I didn't realize that.
and did not do very well. And I happened to run into, I'm not taking credit for the deal, I'm just saying, I happened to run into a bunch of Smithfield packing executives at Daytona, introduced myself, said, hey, I'm Al Pearce, live across the river. Oh yeah, we read your stuff all the time. And I sort of asked them, well, how did you guys come up with Clifford Allison? Well, he's Bobby's son and Davy's brother, and on and on and on and on and on. I said, well, you know, you're probably not going to get any wins out of this guy. And one of the guys in that little group said, well, you know so much, who would you have in my car? I said, well, Elton Sawyer lives in Chesapeake just down the street. I'd give him a call.
Right.
And they did,
Oh my
and they hired
goodness.
him.
Wow.
So anyway, they wouldn't have hired him if he had not been good enough to do the job, but they would have never heard of him. They wouldn't have realized that the Chesapeake guy was available. So
Yeah.
anyway,
You want to go over your list?
why don't you have your shirt on?
I don't have.
Oh, that's right, you washed your car with
Yeah,
it.
I don't
No, you didn't. Did you really?
You know,
We got 150 of them.
He's too
Don't
lazy
worry.
to wash his car, so you
Hey,
should know.
you know, he went home
lazy
and
to
put that thing
watch.
over his pillow, so when
Oh,
he
I
slept
know.
at night with it,
He's probably got your cologne on. Oh, I know. Yep.
Ooh.
Cologne of a winner. He's going to the top 3.
You know what? I really liked you. Now you done turned it.
I'm fine. I'm trying to help you out.
Apparently you need a lot of help today.
Seriously, are you going to be there this weekend? Or are you going to Hampton Heat?
No, I will not be at the Hampton Heat.
Because this weekend I think is the top 3, right, Scott? Top 10 last
This
weekend.
week, right?
Yeah.
And then the following week we're going to be at South Boston. You going to come to South Boston? It's up the street from. Are you allowed to come to South Boston?
Well, I don't have. So I got a wedding this weekend. I got to go to. But,
Okay, we got an excuse this weekend. But how about next weekend?
Every weekend.
No,
Pretty soon we're going to have it where you can follow us on your phone there. We're going to have the GoPro. So the Scott Alley GoPro system.
On his
Tell
fan
you.
club site.
You know what?
I got a GoPro in the truck.
You know what, Brian? I really think you need to worry about what's going on down at the Modern American.
Traffic back
It's
up.
traffic was up there.
You better watch out, he might call in some favors from the thing and turn red by the time you go
Scott
home.
Alley's putting anybody out.
Maybe red lights when you go home, you know that, right?
Hey, look, I even texted him before practice was over. I even texted him on Saturday. I said, "You want to make a bet before I qualify?" He said, "No bet." I texted him after. I said, "It's a good thing you did."
He won't bet no more.
No, I think his betting days are over. I tried to call him out on Facebook, get him a bet. He won't.
Yeah, you was doing a great job following me out on Facebook. You and the guy over there behind the scenes trying to call me out on Facebook. That's okay.
And John, we'll go ahead and change the subject. How's that sound?
Well, I got one thing to say. I had to let you know that there was one person that texted me or sent me a message and said, "The hell is Scott Allen?" I got a thing that says I need to join the Scott Allen fan club. Who is Scott Allen?
We thought it was the Langley announcer.
Oh, Mike Allen.
And I told this person who was living in California,
See, you got him all the way out there. Don't worry.
I said, "Don't worry about it. It's bull."
Is that the one who joined a while ago?
I don't know if she did or not.
Watch, he's checking his phone. Don't worry there. He told us we wouldn't be able to get 5 people, and we got 115.
Yeah, you did good. I'm tickled to death for all y'all.
If we get to 200, we wear your shirt.
I'm really excited that y'all have built this man up to be.
You know, our next one, you know, the next one we're going to do is the Al Pearce fan club.
No.
Now I'll wear that shirt. I'll wear an Al Pearce fan club shirt.
Today. Last week he was.
Huh?
Can I tell my joke?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
The Hooters joke.
No, you know.
You can do it. Go ahead.
What's wrong with the Hooters joke?
Go ahead and tell it.
All right, tell him he ain't heard it.
You ain't heard the Hooters joke.
Good.
These 3 guys going to Hooters together at lunch. There's like a 20-year-old college kid, his 45-year-old father, and his 70-year-old grandfather, the 3 generations. So they have their burger and their beer and their fries, and they have a great meal. And as they're leaving, the manager says, I'm taking a little survey. Could you tell me about your dining experience? Well, the food was great, the beer was cold, fries were good, everything was wonderful, beautiful women in here, it's a great place. And the manager said, well, one more thing. Each of you guys tell me which of our lovely group of waitresses you would most like to be stuck in an elevator with for 2 hours. So the college guy looked around and said, I want that blonde over there, the one with the big personality and the long hair. I want to be stuck with her for 2 hours. And his father, the middle guy, looked at around and said, well, that Ray had a girl over there, got a little age to her, just a little bit of experience, and I think she'd be good for 2 hours in an elevator. The old guy says, which one can fix an elevator? So you got the elevator man right here. You guys can have whatever you want. I want the elevator. I don't want to be stuck in an elevator for 2 hours with anybody except maybe Sandra Bullock.
Or Danica.
Oh, God. We got them escape hatches and elevators. You can't climb out.
Yeah,
Right.
in theory.
Which, as fat as I am, I might not be able to fit through.
Well, you can get through it. It's about not getting nowhere once you get up there.
Get away from her. I shouldn't say that. You know, she's going to come up and surprise me one day.
Yes.
She's going to scare me to death.
She's gonna gun you down somewhere.
She can be running 4th or 5th one year on like 2 to go, and I'm just going to be, oh God, please God, no. What have I done to deserve this? Of course, there will be 8 cars running at the end. And
That's what Jack said to Scott.
anyway,
Yeah, that's exactly what I said about
Bet she comes out and
Do,
sees it one more
go ahead
time.
and do your Leonard Wood information there that you have for us.
Eddie Wood told me one time that Uncle Leonard had a tape measure made at a novelty store or somewhere. He had a tape measure made. It was just a little bit off. Every measurement was just a little bit wrong. And in the garage one day, somebody on a team next to him wanted to borrow a tape measure. So Leonard said, here, use mine. And he gave it to this guy, and the guy spent all day measuring stuff on the car and marking and cutting and bending and shaping and all. Got to tech the next day, and the tech inspector said, God almighty, this car is all cheated up. You can't, this is wrong, that's wrong, this is nowhere near right, what are you doing? He said, I measured it exactly like I was supposed to. The tech guy said, well, let me show you what we got here. He pulled out his own tape measure, and the guy had done everything that Leonard gave him was wrong by about yay much. So, Eddie said that guy took all day to get his race car back in shape.
That's pretty good.
And he never trusted Leonard Wood again.
I can't say I blame him. That's a pretty good one.
That's somebody I'd like to get on here again, is Leonard Wood.
Yeah, Leonard.
I know you
again.
had him on before I started coming over here, but I would love to get him on because
He's a good guy.
my son said he would sit and tell stories.
Oh,
No, I love that.
And they'd go in the shop, and Lee would take his lunch break in Leonard's shop so he could sit and listen to the story. And Leonard started running around with this younger female,
oh yeah.
and he got his hair cut, and he decided he saw all the young guys with their hair spiked up. You know how they spike their hair?
Yeah.
And Lee was the king of spiked up hair back then. And I mean, this is Leonard went over one day and put his arm around Lee and said, where do you get the stuff to keep your hair spiked up like that?
You can't make that up.
So Lee brought him a little thing, and whatever that gel stuff is he had, and that's what Leonard was putting on his hair.
That's a good one.
I suspect that there were times when that young lady had his hair standing up just all by itself. He didn't need anything.
Now, who is this person's young lady's name?
We ain't gonna put that out
I
here.
don't know, but she's still around.
I wonder how
Yeah,
tall.
she's still around. Yeah, she's still around. 'Cause I saw her.
Oh yeah.
not too long ago.
She was almost dressed last time I saw her.
Oh, yeah.
But bless his heart, I mean, he lost his wife in a car wreck at Charlotte one night.
Yep.
All-star race maybe,
Yep,
or
it was
maybe,
the All-Star race.
maybe 10, 12, 10 or 11, 12 years ago.
See, that's who I think it is.
They were on the way back to Stewart. What is that?
Write her name down and see if it's
I don't
who
know
I
her
think.
name.
Let me see. He's
Anyway,
got it.
That's what I thought it was.
they were driving back to Stewart late at night, and she was in a bad car wreck, killed her. And I guess, you know, after a while, 8 or 10 years, you got the right to go out and look again if you want to.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, they're
But
married.
anyway, he seems very happy. Great guy.
He's always nice, man.
Quick story about Glenwood. You know, he signs his name with one N. Glen.
Mm-hmm.
His real name is with two N's. You know why he started writing with one N? According to him,
Why?
he figured that when in 1951 or 2, when he started racing, he figured that over time he would sign his name so many times that if he knocked off the last N, true story, he will
saved so
tell
much
you,
time.
you'll see, he said, Eddie told me my daddy decided that if he just signed it Glen, he would save so much time over his lifetime that he could live another year or two. And that's why Glenwood, who
That's pretty
officially
good.
has two N's.
And
You
it,
look
have
at
to drop a
look
T.
it up.
That's a good idea, Brian.
But he ain't got to worry about losing that much. There ain't nobody gonna ask him that
you
much to
can
get
save even more time. Just do S. Allen.
Just let him go and say Scott because it ain't gonna save him no extra time. When you only have to sign one a week.
Well, SCOTALEN. Drop off a T and an L,
There you go.
and you're
Ow. He's 40-some years old. He
I
ain't
got
signed.
a
Hold
break future.
on. He's 40-some years old. Ain't never signed an autograph before now.
Been signing
No,
plenty
he
of
did.
checks.
Yes,
That's an autograph.
He signed. He
Oh, he
signed.
hadn't
my-
got
He
it on
signed
Signed
my
his
shirt.
shirt
He signed my
last
shirt.
week.
Okay, that's one. I don't think he needs to drop a T just because he wants to say this one.
See, you ain't been in the arena races yet. They line up out there for me.
They line up for everybody. There's 3-year-old kids driving them things out there, and people line up to get that autograph too.
Got 115 going line up this year.
But the thing is, he hadn't been signing very many. He hadn't got to unlearn a whole lot.
Yeah,
It's not like he's got to break the habit.
he's got to learn how to sign his name first.
He's still got to develop that signature yet.
All right. What do we do next?
Keep on getting it.
Did you go over your list?
Oh, let me talk about my list. I wish I brought the whole thing, but I didn't. A media watchdog group, or a television media group, every year puts out a list of the 50 most watched sports events up through the first half of the year, January through June, which I think is 6 months. And they put out a deal, and these are the 50 best rated sports events of the first half of the year. Not a single motorsports race or event was in the top 50. Nowhere. Not Daytona, not Indy, nothing.
Shocking, really.
Nothing. Now, NASCAR will probably, incorrectly so,
That's not
I'm going to give them credit, NASCAR would probably say, well, you take out all the World Cup matches that were watched, and take out all of the Olympic things that were watched, we'll certainly be in the top 50. And they probably would. Got to give them credit. But the fact is, they weren't, and they weren't. The #1 rated sports show was the Super Bowl, of course.
Right.
9 of the top 10 most watched events have been NFL games last year. Through the playoffs, through the Super Bowl, 9 of the top 10 were football games. The 9th one in that group was the opening ceremonies of the Olympics.
Really?
Not an event, not a competition, opening ceremonies. people watch the opening ceremonies like it was the biggest thing in the world. Just take a guess where the highest rated college football game would have ranked. It was Auburn versus Florida State, national championship
It
game.
was in the top 30?
Yeah, it was in the top 30.
I was going to say 25, 26.
No, 15.
Yeah.
But still, you would think
Mm-hmm.
that as much interest as college football generates, it would be somewhere, pretty good.
Here's what's going to surprise you.
The NFL draft, which is a non-event, a bunch of guys sitting around a big lobby, a big hotel ballroom, it was 50th. It was just made it in. All 3 horse races were ahead of any motorsports event. All 3 horse races. The NCAA championship game, UConn in Kentucky, was 24th. That was the highest rated basketball game, which is kind of strange. The Belmont Stakes, the horse race, was 26th. And here's the reason NASCAR might have a reason to say, well, yeah, but 18 of the top 25 were Olympic events on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And the other 7 of that 25, or 7 more, were World Cup matches. So it just
Now, did you watch World Cup?
No,
Did you watch World Cup?
I don't watch any.
I never watched it.
I did.
No, but there was quite a bit going on.
I mean, there was a lot
you
of
go
going
to the bars and
huge,
stuff. Man.
yeah.
It was.
And I never watched it either.
yeah.
I mean,
watch
Buffalo
NASCAR
Wild
racing.
Wings, all those
Yeah,
places.
I do watch everything that comes on NASCAR, or racing.
Racing? You do? So if we build the next chair kart race, you'll watch it?
We ain't got it on TV yet.
You can watch it.
You're not
You can
watching the
watch
truck
it.
race tonight.
We're going to.
But I've got it DVR.
All right.
You better believe it's
Hey, but they got
DVR.
the
The other
fans
thing
on it.
is,
You
what
can
about-
watch it on.
We've already
online.
called ahead Ruby Tuesdays. We're going to have the truck race on.
Remember last year when the truck race at Eldora was like the biggest thing going?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sold out weeks ahead of time. Big time teams were there. Everybody was excited. It's no big deal now.
You had all those dirt ringers like Bloomquist
Yeah,
and all those
right,
guys
exactly.
came in to run that race.
Well,
None of them are there.
Clint Moyer was
Have
there,
you called in
and
yet?
I think Kyle Busch was there. A bunch of them were there last
He
year.
texted
Yeah.
me, but-
Now you
It's
want
not
to have
that
Kyle
big a-
Larson.
It's not that big a deal
Schrader.
anymore.
And who
And I did see today, and I've often said that there are very few race drivers that I have never heard of. Today, after the first practice session, there were 3 or 4 truck drivers I have literally never heard of.
J.R. Hefner.
Yeah, he was 7th fastest in the last.
He might not have been.
Jody Knowles, he was 6th
I
fastest.
have
in
no
the
idea who he
Yeah.
is.
Well, we know Chase Pistone, he was
Yeah.
8th fastest. Kenny Schrader was 10th
Yeah,
fastest. This was in final practice. And Mason Mingus,
Yeah.
Yep.
he was 2nd. And then I saw Jennifer Jo Cobb's dad was in the number 0. And then Eric Jones got the pole today.
Yeah, in the
So-
51 car.
Yeah.
Mason Mingus in the second practice today was second fastest in the second, but he spun out 5 times.
You're kidding.
He spun out 5 times. They kept making a thing, but what is the deal with him?
Right.
But he was the second fastest truck out there, but he spun out 5 times.
Lucis
I don't
fast?
know. I still think that it's going to be a good race. I mean, I love to see these guys on dirt, and it was a heck of a race last year.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, it's going to be good and entertaining to watch. I
Well,
mean,
when they call it a dirt track race, when I look at replays of it, I don't see a lot of dust. I don't see a lot of dirt. I see a lot of mud being thrown around. I mean, does the racetrack ever get?
you're constantly putting
Dusty?
calcium on there. No, because if a good track will end up being watered down, and you'll have calcium on there. And somebody told me, I don't know, it's like a manure type that they're putting in it now.
That's what I've
You
heard.
know,
Yeah.
so I know
Pig
when
poop.
I used to rate when we used to go up to Virginia Raceway. I mean, on a dusty night, that was when the track wasn't handling nothing. But,
Okay.
I mean, they really try to wet it down, keep it down, packed, and by the end of the night, when you walk out there and you're walking on that stuff, it feels just like asphalt.
Okay.
I mean, you know.
Well, that's what it was at Southampton when we were running dirt
Yeah.
there. It was the same way, but they would come in ever so often and put the calcium down or whatever, and it would be just like running on asphalt.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next
And
week
it
you come in there,
cracked.
yeah, and
Is
then the
when you
next
got-
week you come in there, they'll tear it down,
Yep.
and then it'll be real tacky. That week it'll be real tacky.
No, but what I mean is this: tonight when the feature race starts, how many laps is the feature tonight?
The feature is
50,
40 laps.
40, 30 or something
60,
like that.
50, 40.
150 total laps.
Okay, will they mess with the track between heat races, between features?
I would think that they will.
They will after the heat races. I doubt they will do it during the race.
Yeah, they
I
won't.
doubt,
do,
yeah.
they
Okay.
won't do it during the regular
So at
race.
the end of the race, for 10 laps to go, if you cut it on, will you see any dust?
Yes.
You'll see a little bit, but you won't
Okay,
see
you'll
much.
see dust. You'll see dust.
It won't be like you would have seen 50 years ago at Hillsborough.
No,
No, nothing
Or
like
Langley or
that.
something.
no, it's
Okay.
completely different.
Tim is on the line, by the way.
Good afternoon, Mr. Duerr. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you all doing?
We're doing really good. You got Jack Dodson and the legendary Al Pearce and Brian Morehouse and Roger Brehm and Scott somebody here with us tonight.
Alan Scott.
So we're already having a good time. In case you already know, if you hadn't noticed.
Like it sounds like it. I wish I was there with you all.
We do too. We would love to have you here.
We can have another shirt for somebody.
There you go.
Another fan.
No, trust me, wherever you are is better than here. I don't care where, unless you're in prison, in solitary, you're better off where you are than right here. So get that out of your mind right now. I'm telling you. It's 90 degrees and 80% humidity.
So what's going on up your way and what's new at the Ford Motor Company these days?
Well, I'm up here in the suburbs of Detroit, Michigan. I just drove home from Dearborn. We have a beautiful day up here in Michigan. And in fact, we've got a little bit of a cold spell coming through. It's only in the 70s after being in the 90s for a few days. But I'm getting ready to tune in and watch a little dirt racing at Eldora. The preliminaries are on right now. So I'm getting ready to see how they run on the dirt. We've got Ryan Blaney and then Tyler Reddick running in the Ford F-150s there, so I'm pretty excited to watch them compete tonight. And then heading out Friday morning, going down to Indianapolis to the Brickyard, which we're really excited about. As you probably all know, you follow NASCAR. Ford's on a 4-race winning streak, and we haven't done that since 2001, that we won 4 in a row, and Dale Jarrett won 3 and followed up with Elliott Sadler's big win in Bristol. So we're really excited at Ford Racing. We're thrilled to be going to the Brickyard. We haven't won there since I think it was 2001 when Dale Jarrett got us. No, 1999 when Dale Jarrett got a Ford in Victory Lane at the Brickyard. So hoping to be able to join with one of our drivers and teams and kiss the bricks both on Saturday and Sunday. Very excited about always heading to that track.
Well, Tim, when the Ford Motor Company got Roger Penske involved with the Fords, how big a deal was that? Because it seems like it picked everything up a little bit.
Well, it was a very big deal. Number one, to be able to work with an organization led by Roger Penske is just an honor. You know, he ran Fords in NASCAR. He was, 10 years prior to when he joined us again, prior to him leaving to go to Dodge. And, there was a lot of discussion, with our senior level at Ford about the potential of him coming back. And obviously Ford thought it was the right mix, add a competitive, mix to our powerhouse team, Roush Fenway Racing, and complement them, and then also bring their resources and technology and experts, into the Ford fold to help us all share. And we're at Ford, we work under the One Ford platform where everybody gets together and works collaboratively and collectively with, Ford Motor Company and utilizing all of our resources. So, we're very surprised. We thought it would take more than a year to get them up and running, and they performed right out of the chute the first year. This is only our second year with them now, and look at, they're just dominating, not only the Ford teams, but really almost all of NASCAR, aside from the wins that Hendricks had. They've got 5 wins. 5 of our 8 wins are, with Team Penske. So thrilled to have them on board. They're an outstanding organization to work with, and I'm very excited to continue, watching them run through the rest of the year and hopefully win Ford a Sprint Cup championship.
Tim, do you recall when the announcement was made, it was midway through the 11 season, I guess, when Roger announced he was going to move to Ford. Do you remember how that announcement came about?
I remember we wanted to get Daytona out of the way, and there were a lot of sensitivities about the announcement too, you know, relative to Dodge's plans. Everybody was very concerned because, you know, there was some discussion about the engines and would he make his own engine or move over to the Roush Yates brand engine? You know, would he produce, because he had a very nice and a very productive engine shop. So there were a lot of sensitivities, you know, once the discussion took place and the agreements were made. But, you know, it was a situation where we were very excited, but yet he still had, you know, the rest of the season to run, and obviously with Brad, he was running for the championship. We did start working with him from a marketing standpoint, you know, well into the season. We didn't do much from an engineering standpoint because they were so focused on getting Dodge a championship and obviously Brad and the captain winning his first Sprint Cup championship. But I know that I work very closely. I run the marketing area in NASCAR, and I was working with their teams because, you know, halfway, 3/4 through the year, we were already having to wrap Mustangs and Fusions to get ready to, you know, do filming and you know, photos for the upcoming season. So everything's ready to go. The die casts and all the marketing materials going into Daytona the first year they were with us. You know,
You may not remember.
It was interesting to watch it all unfold, and it was really a very easy, streamlined process working with them because of the way they just manage things. But I know there were a lot of sensitivities about we didn't want to take any attention away from them trying to win that championship. But you know, obviously behind the scenes they had to start getting ready, cars ready and technologies ready, and make the decision that they ended up then making, you know, going with the Roush Yates horsepower.
I got a very late night phone call from Dutch Mandel.
Oh, really?
You probably know Dutch.
Oh yeah, he's right up here in the Detroit area, sure.
Believe me, he signs my check. But he and Mr. Crane. Dutch Mandel called me at almost midnight the night before the announcement was going to be made. And he said, I need you to write something for our website that we can pop up at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning when Roger makes this big announcement. And I asked him, I said, Dutch, are you sure? Have you run this by Raynal? Have you run this by Morrison? Does Mr. Crane know about this? I said, I don't think we want to be out there in Autoweek making an announcement that might not be exactly what it is. And Dutch said, trust me, Al, I know what's going on. So actually, the Autoweek.com website at about 11 o'clock the morning of the announcement was the first place that was made.
Well, I remember that now.
Yeah, that was I got a phone call.
My memory I'm getting older, and my memory hasn't always been the best, but I remember when that, because I remember looking at that, somebody said, hey, it's out, go look.
Yeah.
I looked, and there it was.
And apparently Roger and Roger and Keith Crane, the big boss, had dinner that night. And Roger told Keith, and Keith said, can we break it first? And Roger said, I don't see why not. So that was one of those late night phone calls. That was really probably the biggest scoop that Autoweek's website has had in a long time. And I was part of it. And the reason I'm just saying it, I was part of that deal, and I kept telling Dutch, we better be sure, we can't go out there on this limb with this story if it isn't right. And he said, I got a phone call from Mr. Crane, who had dinner with Roger, and it's going to happen tomorrow, whether we announce it or not. So, there you go.
Well, that had to make you feel pretty good. That was big news.
Yeah.
I mean,
a
lot of people didn't see that coming, and it was huge. You know, a massive win not only for Ford Racing but all of Ford Motor Company.
Yeah, and I guess you know Dutch, you know Wes Raynal, probably, you know Mac Morrison, all the guys that I work with, but.
Right, and obviously the Crane family, you know, Casey and Keith, you know, are legendary up here, and you know, very close to all the Ford Motor Company.
Yeah. Anyway, That's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
I like that.
Do you know about one more question from me? Do you happen to know a young man named Brian Cotter who works up at Ford? You do?
Brian Carter, did you say?
Cotter, C-O-T-T-E-R.
Oh, Cotter.
Yeah.
The name sounds familiar.
He was part of the big Mustang 50-year rollout in New York City when they had a Mustang up in the Empire State Building, and they had a big thing at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I think back in April or May, where thousands and thousands of Mustangs came to Charlotte for a big event.
It's on our communications
Yeah. He's Tom
they have
Cotter's
a lot
son.
of folks working on launching, because we launched not only there in Charlotte with thousands of collector vehicles, but also simultaneously in Vegas. And that whole day started, actually, like you said, in New York City with the unveiling of the vehicle up on the top of the New York State Empire State Building, and then several of the executives departed both for either Vegas or Charlotte to be a part of those birthday celebrations for Mustang.
A little known fact around here where we are is that Alan Mullally, who I think was the president of Ford, or he's the outgoing president, I think that's right.
Outgoing, he just retired on June 30th.
He was stationed at Langley Air Base.
Yeah, Mark Fields
Here
is
in
now our
Hampton.
president and CEO.
Yeah, I know Mark, and I knew Alan pretty well. Alan Mullally used to live in this area, in this town, in fact, when he was in the Air Force. So anyway, I'm through talking. I'll let the other guys talk. By the way, I've got a Camaro convertible, so I am going to shut up.
When you see the new Mustang, the 15 when it's out and about on the roads, you see a lot of those now in Dearborn test vehicles. We just started building it, by the way, but no dealer has them, or you don't see them on roads outside of Detroit. Boy, oh boy, what a fantastic looking job, and a production vehicle. And I don't know, when you see this Mustang, you see it go by your Camaro on the road, you're going to say, that might be my new car.
Let's see if Jack will give me a deal like the Chevrolet guy gave me a deal.
There you go. Well,
Tim, we're going to get to the thing here about how much influence will Ford have in all the changes that you see coming up this year with the Roush cars, and most importantly over there with the 21. How much input will Ford have as far as who's going to be driving those cars?
Well, the 21, quite a bit of influence. Obviously, that car is fully funded by Ford Motor Company. Motorcraft Quick Lane, is part of our Ford Customer Service division, and, Ford Racing puts resources, towards the Wood Brothers entry. And obviously, one of the longest standing relationships in all of NASCAR. We've been with the Wood Brothers, and they've been with us from the very start. And we see that as being a very important platform to Ford and to NASCAR. It's legendary. I mean, when you think of NASCAR, you think of the Wood Brothers. It's unfortunate that over the last, several years they've had to run a partial season, but they're happy and content with that. We're using drivers that have come through the system, and in some cases, like with Trevor, it helped him from a developmental standpoint with, Roush Fenway and the relationship that Trevor had there. And lo and behold, we get a Daytona 500 win a few years ago with young Trevor in the 21 car. So it's very important. We're in the process now of solidifying a driver for the vehicle. It's not been announced yet, but it was, a decision made by many people, not one. And obviously, it was a big part of that decision too. Were Len and Ed Wood, and I think everybody, once it is announced, is going to be very happy to see the driver that's going to be in that car, and will be able to, in my opinion, maybe repeat what Trevor did with the vehicle, or pick up even 2 or 3 races in the 21, which he'll be very, very competitive running in the Sprint Cup Series. So we're not ready to announce it yet, but I know that it's going to be, the decision will be made by several involved, and the car will be competitive when it does race in 15 and beyond.
Okay. Do you, one of the things that a lot of people I've heard talk about was the difference between the Penske and the Roush Fords this year. What do you see as a situation there to help the Roush Fords get back to the top like they were at one time before?
Yeah, and they've stumbled a little bit, but you got to remember, Carl's got 2 wins, and very few have that many or more. So they've been competitive, but then they've also adjusted. I thought Greg Biffle would have a win by now, especially, that we've been through Michigan. Michigan won, where he won last year, but Michigan's coming up again here in a few weeks, and I'm predicting him as the winner. Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s not run quite as well as I thought he would in his second year, but he had a real good race at Loudon and in the weeks before, so he's coming on. I think these vehicles are so complex right now, and you got to remember, you're talking to the marketing guy, not the operations or engineering guy. But I keep my ear to the ground. I see and I talk and I know all the people involved. But it all comes down to people and technology and where they've tested and practiced, and there's just so much that goes into making a race car perform at its optimum, and Team Penske seems to have that buttoned down right now, and I see it starting to now happen at Roush Fenway. I know they've made a few changes there. Ford's working very hard and diligently with all of them collectively, and not just those 2 teams, but also Richard Petty Motorsports and Front Row, and with the Wood brothers. So things are being shared, and I think you're going to see, as we get into the second half of the season, you're going to see the Roush Fenway vehicles run a little bit better. And I know that Ford's putting a lot of resources into the NASCAR engineering area. We've opened up the new tech center down in Concord now, which is going to provide the teams with a lot more tools and simulation that they're going to take advantage in the second half of the year that they didn't have at the front end of the year. So we'll see how those resources help too. But I know we've hired a bunch of new people at Ford Racing that's going to work hand in hand with our teams. And I'm really excited in the second half of the year to see all this collaboration take place and see if we can really, truly, honestly compete for, within this chase grid that's coming up, starting in Chicago, and then come Homestead, you got 4 vehicles are going to be on the track that start from scratch, and first one across the victory or the winner, or the checkered line, he takes the checkered flag, is going to be your Sprint Cup champion. And I've got a good feeling about how that's all going to set up, from Chicago right through Ford Championship weekend in Homestead. And hopefully when it's all said and done, we'll celebrate our first championship since 2004.
Yeah, let me add one more thing. Keselowski ran very, very well at Pocono in June. Very easily could have won, but except for the paper deal. You got to figure Keselowski will be really good at Pocono in 2 weeks. You got to figure Ambrose will be a strong contender for you guys at Watkins Glen. And, Biffle at Michigan, second Michigan, it will not, you got to count him in there. So you guys have got some tracks coming up where your guys have either proved themselves to be very good or have run recently at those places and have been good. And I guess if you're really good at Pocono, you'll likely be pretty decent at Indy. So Keselowski may, y'all got some good tracks coming up.
Yeah, when you say the name Brad Keselowski, in talking to him and seeing him and watching him, really the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's going to be really good at every racetrack. You cannot count him out anywhere when he gets behind the wheel of the number 2 Miller Lite Ford Fusion. So, he could win another 3 or 4 races before the end of the year. And then we're coming up on Bristol. Carl won at Bristol, and Roush Fenway used to run very well at Bristol, up until the last few years. But look how Carl ran so well there at Bristol once. So I could see Carl back in victory lane at Bristol too. So there's a lot of optimism, as you said, and for us to win 4 in a row, for us to win 8. By the way, all of last year, all of 2013, Ford vehicles only won 6 races in the NASCAR Sprint Cup history series. We're at 8, and we're just at the halfway point. So we're very optimistic and very focused, and I have that feeling that this could be our year, and hopefully we can bring our fans and Ford Motor Company and our employees and retirees a Sprint Cup championship.
How important was it to the marketing at Ford to be able to secure Richard Petty Motorsports back again? I know there was some talk about them moving somewhere else, and it had to be a big deal to get them back from a marketing standpoint, to have them with you again.
It is. Obviously, the king is the king, and he's by far the most identifiable person that I've ever hung out with, in public. You go anywhere with this gentleman. I don't care whether it's, to a restaurant or walk through a hotel lobby, and everybody knows him. And to have him be a part of the Ford family the last few years has been phenomenal. His team is solid. The managers behind the operation do a phenomenal job, and we're very pleased with what Richard Petty Motorsports has brought, to Ford Motor Company from a marketing standpoint and also a performance standpoint on the track. They're a great, great team to work with, and I enjoy getting involved with them from a B2B standpoint, business to business, and with their sponsors. Their sponsors are very eager to, help us sell more Ford vehicles, and then also us to help them market their brands, to the NASCAR fans. So it's been a great relationship, and look forward to working with them in the future. And the Kings had a tough year and a half or so, with the passing of Miss Linda, and I think he's there every weekend, and he's strong, and he's out with the fans, and he's the face of Richard Petty Motorsports. Of course, he teamed up with Dale Inman. You can't find too many more legendary, people within our sport. So for us to be identified with them has just been fantastic.
And then, also to be identified with the Wood Brothers, that's the 2 biggest names
around
in the history of NASCAR, really, basically.
Oh yeah, Glenn Wood, Leonard Wood, both Hall of Famers. Obviously, Richard went in on the first class, and Dale here just recently. It's such an honor to even, be hanging out with people like that, and then to be able to work with them and get them to help you engage with our race fans and fan base at Ford, and, cascade the message, about Ford and its quality vehicles, fuel-efficient vehicles, fun to drive vehicles. It just helps us. It helps us market within the sport. And you guys all know that. We're not out there just to, compete. We're out there to sell vehicles. And people want to identify with winners. They want to identify with fast, high-quality vehicles that perform well and they're fuel efficient. And all this blends together and helps us sell vehicles. And if it wasn't working, we wouldn't be in racing. We wouldn't be in NASCAR. But it is working. And we have the statistics to verify it and back it up and justify it. Because you all know that, we went through some trying times here in 07, 08, 09. And some of the manufacturers had to declare bankruptcy. Some of them had to take government loans. And, we at Ford, we were able to manage through, the critical times without having to do that. But it was still, it was just, we were looking the Grim Reaper in the eyes as everybody else was. And we were able to get through. And I thought, oh my gosh, what if the company decides to pull out of NASCAR? But we didn't, because we knew that was money well spent, because they were our best customers. It's where we needed to be, because the sport helped us sell our products. So, it just worked out so well that NASCAR stuck with us, we stuck with them, and we're here today. The economy's gotten much better, and, now it gets down to the point, in my opinion with Ford, that we need to prove how great we are on the track and win our fans and our, one of our teams, one of our drivers, a Sprint Cup championship in 2014 at Ford Championship Weekend in Homestead.
Well, from a media point of view, I can tell you that your press relations guys, Zacharias and Matt Fawcett, yeah. They do a terrific job in the media centers,
Yeah, they're the best in the industry.
Zacharias, Dan's been around forever.
With Zach for a long time,
Yeah,
and Matt
yeah.
Mancic came on board here a few years ago. But, guys, you don't know the compliments that I get from other media and obviously the people in NASCAR that work in communications and PR about, the respect and honor and class that these guys bring to the media center. We're very proud to have them in there, and they do a phenomenal job. And, it's just one of those things that, you can just be so solid and confident going into each race weekend knowing they're there to bring the messaging out.
And Jamie Allison is wonderful about making himself available. If the media has a question, if there's a concern, if there's a quote-unquote controversy, Jamie doesn't run and hide. He's always there. You got a pretty good off-track staff. You really do.
We've got a good team. We're very proud of each other. We work together. It's a one Ford brand that, marketing's working with competition and operations and engineering, and we work with, Doug Yates so well at Roush Yates Engines. And the time and effort that we spend building, the brand with each of these teams, it's just phenomenal. And I think that's even recognized and noticed throughout all of NASCAR. I work very closely with all the other manufacturers and everybody, obviously, from a marketing standpoint throughout NASCAR, and I hear that and I feel that. And we do some things that I think really even set us apart from a lot of the other competitors. The Ford Championship weekend platform that we put on down there. I don't know if you guys get to come down and spend that last week of the season with us at Homestead Miami Speedway. But our footprint there, our identity that Ford has at the year-end championship races for all three series is really second to none. And it's enjoyable. I mean, I've been with Ford for 37 years now, 9 with the racing team. And most guys, with those kind of times in, would be thinking about retiring. But it's just so much fun to work with these people and to work in this environment and do what we do that I'm not even thinking about it at this point.
So you probably knew my friend Tom Elliman.
Oh, yes, very well.
Tom and I have been buddies for a long time. He's a good old Maine boy.
He was on board at Ford Racing when they brought me over from a different marketing position over at the marketing headquarters. And just as I started, he was leaving. Mm-hmm. I think we might have had a month of overlap, or a month or two. But he was already, checking out for his retirement at the same time that I was coming in. But I get to, see Tom, and I hear from him all the time via social media or text. But it's always nice to go up to Loudon because you'll always see him up at the racetrack.
Yeah.
So Tim, how did you get your start in Ford or in the marketing end of it?
Well, I joined, like I said, I've been with Ford for 37 years. I hired in, I went to Valparaiso University in Indiana. I don't know if you guys know where that is, up outside of Chicago. I graduated there with a business administration degree, and all I wanted to do was get into a car company, and I wanted to go to work for a car company because I wanted to get a free car to drive around as a company car. I thought, as savings. So Ford interviewed me on campus, and then shortly thereafter, it was about 2 weeks after my graduation, I started with Ford in St. Louis in customer service. But most of my career was spent out in the field in 6 different locations working in regional offices with the dealers and marketing and sales. Working in a regional office, helping the dealers perform better, become more profitable, and increase Ford's market share. And I had the pleasure of working with our customer service division, Ford division, and also Lincoln Mercury. But most of my career was spent with Lincoln Mercury. And I had 2 stints in Detroit. I was here in the mid-'80s and then came back in 2000. But I managed a program at Ford from 2000 to early 2006, a marketing program that dealt with our suppliers and vehicle purchase discounts. And then I got the call, would you be interested to come over and work in marketing for the racing team at Ford Racing? And I'll be honest with you guys, I was not a Ford race, or I was not a racing fan. I was a stick and ball guy growing up, and played a lot of football, played football at Valparaiso, and ran track, played a lot of baseball, but I wasn't the guy that you saw at the dirt tracks or, doing any sportsman. And I remember the names, when I first came to Ford racing, I remember, of course, who Dale Jr. was and Jeff Gordon and some of the big names. And I'm looking over the Ford roster and I said, boy, I got to get myself up to speed here because now they're going to want me to, run the fan club and the website and go out and host hospitalities at the track. And I have to, so I was, I had to learn it really fast. And once I got about 6 months under my belt, I said, this is a cool sport. The fans are great. The people are great. The media, working with the media. I mean, everything just fell into place. And then it just it just took me over as, how can you not be a NASCAR fan? Now I understand why there's 75 million passionate NASCAR fans that are loyal to these products and these brands that are within the sport, because it's really one big family. And, one thing to be the family that's traveling around from the week at the racetrack, but the fans and the way I see them, intermingle and their pride that they have wearing the colors and the numbers and the flags, it's just phenomenal. It's captivating, and it's an environment that really you get brought into and you never want to leave. You just always want to be a part of it because it's a very rewarding environment, especially for somebody like me that represents Ford and gets to see the passion that Ford racing fans have, and I get to see it on Facebook, on Twitter, and then also when we do our activations at the track and get to meet with the fans in the display and listen to them talk about how proud they are about the Fords that they own and the drivers that they cheer for. It's just a very rewarding experience for me to be able to witness that firsthand and behind the scenes too at the racetracks.
Now you got it in your blood, you can't get it out. I know how that is.
Exactly.
All right, Tim, well, we appreciate your time tonight. We're going to let you get back to whatever you were doing, and we thank you for spending some time with us.
Racing here.
You take care. Appreciate you joining us.
Well, we enjoyed having you, and thanks for that. We'll get back with you again sometime.
Okay, very nice. I appreciate it, and thanks again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Hey.
Let's talk racing.
Why have nobody on there?
Mason.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Are you awake?
I didn't hear anything.
See, when you spin out 5 times, he's probably tired.
That's not the same one.
That's
Mingus. This is Mason
This we got that last time, didn't we?
Well, congratulations on that win this past weekend.
It was pretty amazing, to be honest. Hard work and everything that's been went into our program and all the years and all the struggles, and finally everything paid off. And we knew we could do it, just a matter of time and the place to be. And that's like in the first week of Chicago was unreal.
Now, is this your first year in ARCA, or give us a little bit of background on yourself?
It's actually my second season in ARCA. I've been racing since I was 5 years old, on dirt bikes and mini cups to play models, and down on the ARCA series, playing teams, and I think it's run pretty good this year. We're leading points now, and that's our first win, and looking for more.
How many second place finishes did you have before you? It was like 6, wasn't it?
There was a few. I was looking earlier.
Yeah, it was 6 second place finishes.
Did you ever think you were going? I mean, you had to have it in your mind you were going to eventually break that spell.
Yeah, I mean, I was confident and I was optimistic about things. I knew we could do it. But after getting so many second places, you're like, oh my God, what do I have to do? You just run out. You can't sleep sometimes, and you're just running so many situations through your head. Like, what do I got to do to end up major lane? And we just kept on, never give up, and just kept on working hard, and it finally paid off.
Mason, where are you located at now? You down there in racing country? Is that where your shop's at?
Oh yeah, I race in the USA, in Mooresville, North Carolina. I live at the shop here.
I hear you. That's a true racer. Sound like Scott Allen over there.
Living at the shop. How many employees do you guys have?
I have I think there's about 5 full-time guys.
Didn't you just recently change crew chiefs or something like that? Didn't you have somebody else as your crew chief when you started?
Matt Weber, he's been my crew chief since Toledo. He's been on my team since the beginning, but he took over the crew chief roles, and ever since Toledo, where we actually, the first race where he was crew chief, we set on the pole and set the track record and led in the most laps of the race and ended up finishing second. But it was a good weekend there, and ever since then we've had awesome performances and press and won a race.
Well, tell us about the competition within the ARCA series. I mean, with all the other series that you've raced, I mean, what's the competition level like?
I mean, it's a very highly competitive series. You know, people look at it, you know, from outside looking in as you only see probably like 10 guys that run for the full season, but you got to look at the entry list for each weekend, and there's always about a dozen cars that can win the race because you got there's a lot of young kids that aren't able to run each weekend, so they split those up, and you got the people from the NASCAR series that come in for a handful of races and race. So you always have tough competition each and every weekend in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menard. So you got to definitely be prepared as a team and as a driver to go up against the best of them.
So how many more races y'all got left this year within y'all's series?
9 left.
9 left?
Just past halfway.
Leading points at this point in time, and looks like you got, halfway through, so looks like you're going to be doing pretty good.
Plan, we had high expectations coming into this deal, and I'm not going to say we're exceeding them, but we're meeting them, I'm going to say, and we're going to go out there and try to win more races and extend that points lead, and hopefully at the end of the year we get lucky enough to call ourselves ARCA Racing Series champions.
Now I saw on Facebook where you were having a big party the other night. That ain't the reason why you was late today, was it?
Technically, I'm never late. So, I found one in my back pocket to always say to the guys. But no, we Applebee's was one of our sponsors this weekend, and it was a great weekend with those guys with them providing us food for each night. And after we won the race, they gave us a call and said, "Come on over, dinner's on them." So it was fun to celebrate there with a lot of my family and friends were there too, because being only 5 hours from originally where I'm from in Des Moines, Iowa. It was a fun night, but we hit the road back early the next morning, got back down to the shop, and the guys were back at it super hard, and they're stuff ready for Lucas Oil Racing Park and heading out in the morning.
Well, we definitely want to congratulate you on your first win. We definitely want to let you go ahead and give some shout out to all your sponsors, and hopefully we'll be talking to you some more here in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate the opportunity to come on, but it wouldn't be possible this year without all the great marketing partners and the people who support me. And it starts with the Thermal Technology Services out of Clearwater, Florida. We've been on board since Daytona, and we got most of them Zapstock account on board at Pocono, and those guys are really happy. And I'm looking forward to going to Pocono here after Lucas Oil Raceway Park and then Applebee's that created that partnership last weekend. And what a way to kick it off with the win we had, but especially all my friends and family and just everybody that's supported me and that I've worked with throughout my whole career. You learn something new every day, and so thankful to go through all the situations that I've been through and put through, and so thankful to be where I'm at right now. And I got a heck of a crew behind me too, and they put the hours in, and they're still working right now. So it's been an awesome year. We're looking to make more of it, and hopefully be back on the show soon.
Well, Mason, where is your shop at down in Charlotte?
It's down here in Mooresville, right? I mean, it's across the street from Practice Lasky Racing. You got our competitors, Wintron Racing's here. So we're in a circle of a bunch of shops. And
are y'all located right there behind Mooresville Sports Park?
Yeah, the drag strip, yeah.
So,
okay, all right.
There, Rowan. Well, definitely, we want to thank you for coming on, and we look forward to speaking to you a little bit more in the future, and want to definitely wish you a lot of good luck, and like you said, hopefully we'll be hearing that name being announced as the champion here at the end of the season.
I hope so, too. I appreciate that opportunity, and you guys have a great night.
All right.
Well, you too. Thanks a lot.
And just remember, you're not late. Everybody else is early.
Yeah, that's right. I'm there 24/7.
Everybody else is just too early. So.
You take care.
All right, Mason. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, before the race.
He was on the show earlier.
Oh, was he? Who's going to win tonight?
I say Kyle Larson.
Kenny Schrader. Come on, Kenny Schrader.
I don't know about that.
Okay, who do you got? You're not racing, so you can't pick yourself.
I think the Dillon boys, I mean, they started on dirt. They raced a lot of dirt.
So we got Larson, we got Schrader, we got Dillon boys. Well, one of them, Ty
Yeah, you gotta pick
or
which
Austin.
one.
Yeah, you can't get two. That's just like him.
Take Scotty.
I would wear the
We're
shirt
picking
now.
one, you pick two. That's how you win. That's how you know.
Hey, you gotta get in the gray area.
Yeah, well, you really great. Go ahead.
Ty or Austin.
I'll go with Ty.
Okay. You gotta say, big guy. He's thinking.
I'm about to pick somebody weird like Johnny Sauter or something like that.
What are you talking about?
Johnny won one of the heat races
did.
already.
Who has?
Johnny won one of
Did
the
he win
heat
the one with
races.
Schrader in there?
Yeah, he won one with Schrader.
Schrader's leaving with 5 laps to go.
So you got Johnny
I'll
Slaughter.
take Sauter.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he did. Didn't he run in the top 5 last year?
I thought he did.
Like 4th or
Yeah.
something?
Now you also got Timothy Peters still floating out there too.
Who do you got?
Austin Dillon.
You're going Austin Dillon. All right. We'll see who wins next week.
What you picking,
He's
Marvin?
giving me a hard time about Dillon, so he gonna
He just
keep
like
cheating. He
No,
just
no,
see what I picked first and says,
So if you had said Austin, then I'd have gone somewhere else. But see, I ain't going there with you, man.
He's a fan.
All right, Roger, who you got?
I said I got Kyle Larson.
Okay, Roger got Larson.
Who you got, Pops?
I'll tell you 4 down to 7.
Jeb Burton.
Jeff
Jeb Burton.
Jeff
Okay.
Burton.
All right.
So everybody wrote this down. See who wins.
No, I'll remember it though.
He's a sports I remember. All
Now,
right.
are you leaving for Indianapolis?
No, I'm leaving for the damn challenge. For the seafood for the
Oh, now you know you ready to go eat then.
you eat, baby.
All right, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight on Let's Talk Racing.
Don't say I'd like to thank everybody.
Well then,
Just
come back
thank 'em.
next time then.
Just thank them.
Thanks.
I'd like to
See
say
ya.
hello. Hello.
I'd like to say I like Scott, but
I think they do like it.
Come on, let's go eat. I'm hungry.
We're out of here.
Hey guys, I'm Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bain, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing.
Hi, I'm Robert Richardson Jr., driver of the number 23 Dodge Challenger for R3 Motorsports in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and you're watching Let's Talk Racing.
I'm Timothy Peters, driver of the number 17 Toyota NASCAR Camp World Truck Series, and you're listening to Let's Talk Racing.
Here's your 2011 champion, David Brehm.
Hi, this is David Flens, driver of the 33 NASCAR Late Model, 2011 Old Dominion Speedway Track Champion. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing TV.
I'm Sam Hunt, driver 42 car on the thing Let's Talk Racing.
Hi, my name is Natalie Sather. I drive the 94 K&N Lady Eagle Safety Wear, Butler built seats, bell helmets, hooker harness seat belts, number 94 at South Boston Speedway. Be sure to listen to